tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're covering Hatila 25, the SRA match in Hämeenlinna, Finland, at the Finnish Army Armored Brigade base. Now, on this stage, as you just saw, you had to tiptoe through the tulips, i.e. don't step on a mine and take a massive penalty. Engage that first tank trap, and you had 3 paper targets and 2 Yasta targets, which are reactive targets that are remote controlled. Then you went to the second position, which was a tube you had to fire through. And you really had to adjust your position around here to find the targets. You had 2 Yastas and a couple of papers that you had to get. And then you dashed over to the third position here. Notice that I am using the AKB-23, which is an L85 clone. I was shooting with Bloke on the range here, and he was using a real L85. So we got an interesting compare and contrast coming for you in the future. So there were 2 paper targets there that had to be engaged. And coming here to the final position, you had 3 papers, which you can clearly see, and 2 Yasta reactive targets. Overall, didn't do that spectacular on this stage because I just picked up way too many C zones. They do hit factor scoring here. If I had more A's with the time I did, I would have done a whole lot better.
Don't fuck up!
All right, sage advice there for Nick. He's not exactly going to tiptoe through the tulips here. He's going to go full speed ahead, and he dodged them all. There's a pretty specific penalty. I don't remember what it was, but you didn't want to step on him because it would just ruin your stage. And Nick gets into the tank trap. He had to be in the box, and the net being down low created a small shooting area for you. Unfortunately, Nick did fuck up here, and he forgot to engage the Yasta targets, which were mandatory targets, which means you could not proceed to the next shooting spot without engaging them. Now you see Nick's moving out with purpose, aggressively jumping into the box, and he chose to get way up into the tube, which was probably the correct answer here to have a better field of view, but even he has to shift around. The targets were very strategically placed here to make for an interesting shooting problem. Then hustling up. Now this next position, the third position, seems the easiest. There's just 2 targets there, but they were pretty well concealed in the bush, so it was fine them and pick them. And they needed to be given their respect. So while they're at 25 meters and everything, a lot of people picked up C's on those targets. And here at the final position, all that barbed wire around the tank trap forced you into a position that basically had you balancing on the shooting box. And Nick had a pretty strong finish here.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
Get some!
Get some!
Salamis.
Okay, stage here. Chopper Hopper. That's literally the name of the stage. And you went up on this 2-man lift, and it was to simulate being up in a helicopter and firing from above. Not the world's greatest helicopter simulator, but definitely an excellent presentation of targets. Those paper targets you see me engaging were fairly close. And then there was 10 Yasta reactive targets out there at various distances out to over 300 meters. And there you got to take those down. That was pretty fun. A unique perspective to say the least, and an enjoyable shooting challenge.
Get some!
Yeah, pick that target up. But pretty soon I'm going to get frustrated here. There were 3 Yasta targets at a middle distance, and the middle one of the 3 just did not want to go down. Now, I'm sure it was probably me missing. I won't blame a target malfunction because in the years I've been coming here,
Die, motherfucker!
I've never seen a big Yasta malfunction, so shooter takes all the blame there. But it was frustrating that I think I launched a lot of rounds ahead before it finally went down. But then the others came fairly quickly, and that's pretty awesome. Overall, super fun stage. I do apologize for not having Nick's run. That was just due to camera restrictions. And this camera restrictions was nobody could go up in the baskets other than the operator and the shooter. And it seems only my POV camera came out.
Okay.
All right, moving on to stage 3 here. And a lot going on. So I hope you can see it here in the video. You aimed in at a car that hit a popper that caused the swinger to start going. Then you blasted the swinger. You had more poppers to engage, and you even at a farther distance had a couple Yastas. Then you had to boogie across the road, or saunter as I did, and then you entered the next shooting box, of which you had a couple papers here, again hard to see, that you had to engage. Then you moved out to another couple, which is really nice because they're from covered and concealed positions, so you're engaging them like that. And then this one here, pretty tough target because you had to lean out to get that. And then you dash to your final firing position, which is kind of nice. It's a supported firing position because you had some up-close paper that you're going to see me engage here using the red dot on the top of my stacked optic. And after the reload here, which goes agonizingly slow, then I'll gauge a couple of close Yastas, and then I go for the long-range ones by using the main optic. So pretty good setup. Now at this point, you're going to see me looking around pretty confused because when we did the walkthrough, we got to see what was going on, but I got it stuck in my head somehow that there were 6 Yastas out there instead of the 3. So I'm looking all around, and at this point, I want to make sure I don't leave those points on the table.
Okay, then are you finished?
But figured out I got them all and called it good.
Show clear.
All right, time for Nick's run here on stage 3. Now, one of the cool things about stage 3 is you were allowed to be aimed in, safety off. So when that buzzer went off, you could get a shot off almost instantaneously. And Nick, like everybody else, aimed in at that popper that you knew was going to activate the swinging target. So he dealt with those targets much faster than I. Unfortunately, took this spill here going off across the road, but recovered pretty good. And engages what were basically 4 SRA IPSC style targets. And then you engage another 4 here. Excuse me, 2 with 4 shots. And then 2 more with 4 shots here. Then dashing over here to the final firing position. He pumps out rounds, gets those into the paper targets pretty quick. And then switches over to the Yastas after the reload. And the stage was done. Good run, Nick.
Shooter ready? Ready.
How do you kill women and children?
Easy, you just don't lead him as much.
Stand by!
All right, this stage is supposed to simulate an imposed helicopter landing, so obviously couldn't resist that opening line. Now, I would love to show you the rest of that GoPro footage, but the battery died right at that point, so all you get is third person here. You had to engage 6 targets to start with for bonuses. Then you had 2 you had to engage on the move. However, if you did not get those 2 on the move, you could go back and engage. Now I'm already messed up in the head because the sling got caught up on the pouches there. You then had to dump a bunch of rounds into area target, and then you had 8 poppers you had to engage. Which, yeah, the red dot was not working for me. And I had to go with the main sight. And I say the red dot wasn't working. I have to admit, I learned by the end of the match that it was operator error. It just wasn't moving my head enough between aiming low and aiming high. So some stages it seemed to work and some it didn't. And I thought there was like an intermittent battery problem, but no, in fact, it was literally just the operator. Now, once you gauged all the poppers, you went to this barricade over here, and there were 5 SRA IPSC style targets that you had to engage with 2 hits each. And then at this point I come back rapidly to check to make sure I got those Yastas on the move. I thought I did, but I wasn't sure. And to be honest, I'm glad I checked because one was still up. Dispatch it with a couple shots. Super fun stage. Alright, as you can see, this stage is super fun. So let's take a look at Nick's run right now. So he's engaging the 6 targets. Now there were 6 Yastas there, and they were bonuses, and you didn't have to start the track until you engaged them, and the final 2 had to be engaged on the run. Nick immediately ran over and engaged for those. I guess he detected he didn't get them all on the run. and then he moved out with speed to his next firing position. Now this next barrage of fire is a big area target you had to put at least 6 rounds in. And then you had 8 poppers you had to engage, and it sets of 3, 3, and 2. Nick doing a very good reload right there. Getting the last of those poppers. Coming back and engaging the paper through the slot here. Here's a good view of the array right there.
Go backwards.
He detected he had missed a popper. Went back and collected it. Smart move.
Ready.
On to stage 5. One of the things I love about shooting the Hatila match at the Panzer Brigade's base is the state-of-the-art shoot houses you get to use. And this one you got to use 2 shoot houses in one stage. How often do you ever see that happen? Now I'll admit I kind of semi-sabotaged myself on this stage because I chose to do it tactically. You'll notice some of the targets have white triangles in the middle. That's simulating body armor. So you have to shoot appropriately because if you hit in the armor, obviously it doesn't count. So that first house had to be cleared with a rifle. Second one's with a pistol. You notice I'm taking a very deliberate unload. The pistol for the British PLC system, that is the world's worst holster. And yeah, so I made sure I made a deliberate thing out of DQ. I made sure to Mozambique the targets that were considered to be armored. And just center mass dump the other rounds. It kind of worked against me on the stage going center mass because I got a lot of C zones out of it when I should have gone high center chest. Now Nick goes through and he's running to win it. And he's very fast here, you can see. Collects those outside targets and then immediately aggressively getting close. But being deliberate on his shots when he needs to be. Rapid when the situation presents itself. And he moves with purpose, drawing on the way, so when he gets to the threshold, just no slowdown like I did. You know, very much standing in the fatal hunt. Proactive reload. Nice center hit there in the middle of the brain.
It finished. Unload, choke clear.
I will stop complaining about Amtrak's.
Where's the...
Alright, now that I'm not complaining about Amtrak's anymore, we're on stage 6, and you started out in this vehicle simulation through a firing port, which was really neat. And you don't see it here, but I actually managed to knock over a target with it, which was pretty good. Some people went 3 for 3, but most people didn't get any hits. Now take a covered and concealed positions for engaging these pistols with targets with pistol, excuse me. Then not so tactical movement over here. I should have crawled like Yari ended up doing. But I do get behind cover, get the rifle loaded. I decided to go after these targets with the rifle because I watched a lot of people struggle with these with their pistol, and some poppers taking 3-4 hits before they went down. So I figured rifle was the better way. Then I went to deploying the grenade here. Unfortunately, you went through the mechanics of prepping and throwing the grenade, but the truth is it didn't really explode, which was kind of a bummer.
Freedom, motherfucker!
Yep, exactly. And then engaging targets with the rifle, taking a close one than the far one. Didn't see that one there until I got up close, or else I would have shot it earlier. Pieing the corner properly. Nailing that. Now these didn't but I really hammered it because I thought I hit low, so I put extra shots in to hit higher up on the target, get a better point value. Now Nick here decided to do the whole thing with his pistol. So he unloaded, got those shots off quick, even before the rocket hit and took him out. And then he switched to his pistol. Being very conscious about his shot placement and going back to take make-up shots when he saw he didn't have good placement. And worked his way through here, the 6 poppers. And that last one just fought him.
Eat this shit, ass!
And then taking out as they appeared. Infinity getting good shot placement. Proactive reload there. And then finishing off the targets that were Okay, going into our 7th and final stage, which you had 6 long-range Yasta. You had to engage. They say long-range. They were about 250, maybe 300. We did farther when we were way up on the lifts there in stage 2. The first 2 shots did not hit, which has got to be user error, but it kind of messed with my head. But then I recalibrated, and the shots went down 1 for 1 after that. Now in this view, I'm going to show you my first-person POV as I go through the tent, and then with Nick, we'll show you the third-person point of view. So you can get 2 different perspectives of what this trench was like. This was a beautiful trench system. I wish I had a good one like this for my match, but I don't have a company of Finnish engineers, so I'm doing the best I can. You were required to abandon your rifle and then take your pistol and chamber it. And then you started engaging. The situation was you repelled far away critical targets, but then the main assault was on your trench, and you had to repel them with a pistol before they got into the trench. Now, there was lots of netting to make sure you kept your head down, which was good because they had a lot of cross beams that I found out later when filming people were very easy to hit your head on. And when you get to the end of the trench system here, you get this last big array of targets. And yeah, kind of pumped out the rounds here, and using the +2 mag that I had, so 20 rounds, was just perfect. Didn't have to do a reload. Now, switching over to Nick here. He's very proactive here.
Are you ready? Yep.
He's aimed in. He's got a good ACOG, which was the right scope for making these engagements, and he gets through them fairly quickly. Once he's verified the S is down, abandons the rifle, chambers the pistol on the move, and just starts pumping out rounds and taking targets down. Now, as you can see, the third-person view here, very low head cover. And then Nick getting overly motivated there and dashing through this tent so fast I can barely keep up with him until he gets to the end and he just dumps fire into all these targets. Overall, super awesome match. Overall, Hatila 2025 this year was incredibly awesome. Great match as always. Very innovative stages with lifts taking you up simulating helicopters again on the trolley system there that you had to actively shoot from and dismount from. Innovative stages in using the shoot houses by rifle and pistol, plus having the armored vehicle simulator where using the port firing weapon is just something you don't encounter in other matches. So kudos to the SRA planners that came up with Hatila 25. We hope you found this match coverage helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Tune in for future match videos.